This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Today's topic is money and snakes, two things that are pretty cool. I recently did a video where I talked about the most expensive lizards I've ever sold because I take in and rehome and sell reptiles, as you probably know, and it's very hard to actually make money doing it. And that's where these individual, not so common, very expensive animals come in to save the day. So I'm going to start at the 10th of the cheapest of the 10 up to the most expensive of the 10 and talk about each one. Starting at number 10, 10. A male hypomelanistic boa constrictor, imperator, or boa imperator, whatever. I really don't care. It's an adult male, and although they don't get as large as the adult female BCIs, they're still very hefty snakes, and he sold for $400 plus shipping, which is $50 flat rate for however many animals you order. Usually people just buy one. Sometimes people get 2 or 3 though, which is cool. I think he came with a few juvenile boas, but because he's larger, he's gonna sell for more. More Reese's cups have gone into him. More resources have gone into him when it comes to food, energy, time, space, everything. He's been on the planet longer, and so he's taken up more energy, which means that he is valued more because it's also harder to find them. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, you probably understand. Okay, let's just move on to number 9. A female BlueEyed Leucistic ball python, or bells, BELs, whatever you want to call them, completely white ball pythons. They are not rare, like it's not crazy weird to see one. This one's a bit more rare though, because you might be able to tell her eye is not too normal. I haven't looked too much into this, but there seems to be a lot of connections with white animals, or white reptiles specifically, and issues with their eyes or vision. For example, blizzard leopard geckos, I've gotten a lot of them, but they oftentimes have the most difficulty eating. Like they can't spot their food properly, and they miss a lot, and it's kind of weird. And I've gotten actually emails of people that have white animals, specifically blizzard leopard geckos, with the same issues. They also seem to be more susceptible to blindness based on what blizzard owners have told me. And in the case of BlueEyed Leucistics, it's possible that they can have these deformed eyes. She was still a pretty good eater, because luckily ball pythons use those heat pits around their mouth, and they don't rely too much on vision, so it's not as big of a deal, and they adapt pretty well. She sold for $400 plus shipping, which, although that's kind of a lot of money, it's a lot cheaper than I normally sell a blue-eyed for, about 2/3 to a half of the price, because, well, she looks like this. And also, this is not something that I want to be bred. I don't have a problem selling to breeders as long as they set up an enclosure just as good as a pet keeper would, where like animals aren't allowed to be stuck in racks basically if you buy from remote scales. And so yeah, you can breed an animal if they are safe to breed, but this is an example where we try to seek out people that are not going to breed. And yes, there is this little red disclaimer that says by purchasing you're saying you're not going to breed it. Of course, this is not a legal agreement. We can't actually stop them, but it's pretty easy to tell after talking to so many people if they're a breeder or not. So I'm really not concerned that she went to a breeder. It also wouldn't make much sense anyway. Like, you're not saving that much money and you're increasing the risk of something happening to your juvenile, so it's not something to worry about. But I still price them lower because they're not as picture perfect as a normal blue eye, but they're still really cool. And other than that, she was totally healthy. And number 8, another ball python, I think it's mostly ball pythons on the list, but there's a lot of other species as well, is a female Het Pied Ringer ball python, which again, now I probably should have said female ringer Het Pied ball python, but whoever bought it understood what I was trying to say. The Het Pied means that it has the piebald trait, which is where they have white splotches, but they don't actually show it because it's a recessive gene. So if this one were to be bred with the appropriate male, then you might actually get a piebald result. And so, yeah, again, I don't actually know if this one sold to a breeder. I don't think it did. They at least didn't mention it. Like, we're always happy to talk about them with that. But she still sold to $450 plus shipping to someone that wasn't even gonna breed, which is a little weird because you're paying that extra amount for a trait that's never gonna affect your ownership experience. But it's still, undoubtedly a very pretty ball python. It almost looks normal, but you can just tell it's not quite normal. And that's the ringer that you're seeing. And so although she doesn't look too different from a normal, even though I still think she stands out, she's a lot more expensive. Normally you can find a normal ball python for like $50, maybe even cheaper. I feel weird selling any animal for like $50 or less. I mean, I do, especially when I have to, if I can't profit off an animal. So normally the ball pythons start about like 100 on remote scales. 10, 9, 8, 7, I have to count every time. This is a unique snake that I've only gotten one of, which was an adult male Mexican black king snake. I actually did a full video on him because he was very pretty, jet black. In my opinion, that's the only cool thing about them, but a lot of other people like them, and he was $450 plus shipping. They are another species that you can find lots of videos on. You're not gonna see them on every single website. If you go to a reptile show, you might see one, you might not, who knows? It's like not too surprising either way. They're just down the middle of like a not too difficult snake, not too rare, but really cool, and undoubtedly, not doubtable. I was gonna say something about how he looks cool, so you get what I'm saying. He was also pretty chill as well. At first, he was a little finicky, like when I first unboxed him, but he was also just in a box, so kind of understandable. Oftentimes, certain species are more susceptible to not be as happy with being messed with or handled, but he really wasn't too bad, and I try to be as transparent about their personality as possible, which generally affects the lizard sales more than the snakes, but there's still some other examples I'll show. But before we continue, you need to know about Skillshare, which is the sponsor of this video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. It's perfect for discovering new skills or deepening your existing interests. I love how bite-sized Skillshare feels because classes are broken down into short segments, and most classes are under an hour. There's also discussions with the other students and Q&As directly with each of the teachers. Skillshare continues to give me new ideas and ways to continue building both my channel and Emerald Scales, and being a member means unlimited access to those thousands of classes, from art and music to business and marketing and everything in between. It's all distraction free with no ads because it's curated specifically for learning. For example, if you're interested in being a YouTuber yourself, MKBHD's class on YouTube success is a must watch. I mean, I've been on YouTube for 9 years and I still learn a ton from Marquez. Or if you're building a business off of YouTube like me, MailChimp has really great classes on email marketing, which is how I earn the majority of my revenue. And the first 1,000 of you to click the link below get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare so you can explore it yourself. And if you enjoy it, members get unlimited access to all the classes. So thanks Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now back to the money. Moving on to 109876. So this is literally just a female albino ball python, but she's large and she's healthy, and she went for $450 as well. For some reason, albino snakes, but especially albino ball pythons, almost every single one that's ever like contacted me, well, the ball python didn't contact me, but the owner, is always unhealthy. I don't see hundreds and thousands of reptiles. I can't make any statistics, but based on my personal experiences, there seems to be this weird correlation with albino ball pythons being unhealthy and refusing food, not eating. Could be total coincidence, but it's very weird. And this was like the first time I ever got a healthy albino ball python, which was cool. The reason it's pretty expensive is because she's big and a female. Female snakes are pretty much always more expensive for breeding purposes because you can pair one male up with multiple females, but it's more important to have a lot of females if you're gonna like be breeding and stuff. Again, I don't even think this one's sold to a breeder, but it does simply increase the value. And I think the splotches are just extremely cool looking, and it's not too easy to find many adult female albino ball pythons. So $450, not complaining. That's a lot of $450s. Is the next one $450? $460 for a male Arctic Conda hognose. Hognoses are one that people always ask me when there's going to be the next one. They stay pretty small, they're cute, they're easy to set up, they're easy to like heat and everything, but it can be, they're known to be hard in two areas. One is handling, they're not always the biggest fan. They also are technically rear-fanged and some people have allergic reactions, and yeah, they can be pretty picky. Some people can only get them to eat the most bizarre foods where they won't eat mice or rats, and it's a huge pain. You have to source these weird animals for them to eat. In my experience, they've usually been fine, but there's something people really love. And this one, I know nothing about genetics in regards to hognose snakes. I just base it on other websites, like say morphmarket.com. I just type in Arctic Conda hognose, and I only do this if I actually have the confirmed like information on the snake to make sure, oh, it actually is. Because if I just saw a picture of this, I'd have no idea what it was, honestly. It just looks like a hognose snake to me. It's not something I specialize in at all. And yeah, they're simply more expensive, and that was proven by selling for $460. I don't know why I added $10 on this snake, but paid for what, 10 adult mice to feed, so works for me. At number 4, this I think is one of the coolest looking ball pythons I've ever seen in person. There's a couple actually in the top of the list, but the female Pastel Fire Calico ball python. Yeah, she's got 3 traits: the Pastel, the Fire, and the Calico. They're all separate, but they all come together to make her. And she actually came with a couple of the other ball pythons that you've already seen in this video. Someone had to send me like 5 or 6, I think. They had a bunch. I think they are going to breed the snakes. Sometimes people are about to do these breeding projects and they invest all this money, and then all of a sudden something happens and they just can't. And so, yeah, I was sent a handful of these ball pythons. None of them were proven breeders, where it's like, if people can literally prove this ball python produced an animal, it's worth even more, because not every animal is necessarily going to be able to produce. But this one, although it was not proven, it's still worth $500 on Emerald Scales, and that's what it sold for. Super pretty. Again, I don't think any of the animals on this list went to breeders, but I liked her. At number 3, back to the hognoses. This is the tiniest snake on the list. He is a snow hognose. That's it, just snow. Western hog. I can't sell Easterns since I'm in North Carolina. For one, it was kind of stressful having her because she was so small. I purposefully just did like an undersized enclosure because I knew it was going to be temporary. But the thing about her is why do I keep saying she? He sold 3 or 4 times. 5? I think he sold 4 times total, where someone would purchase and then either change their mind, or they had a poor enclosure, or whatever. Kind of just those two. Either they don't want it anymore, their circumstances change, they see the $550 leave their bank account, and they're like, I regret this. Whatever reason, I refund before it's shipped, because you don't want someone to be stuck with an animal that they regret buying. It takes a few weeks to finish the whole process, so some people get time to think about it, and they regret it. Kind of annoying, but better than them getting stuck with an animal that they don't want. So yeah, I had to refund like $1,500 worth of money, but eventually he did sell, and he took quite a few months because of that. He's one that I've never seen since. I've never seen another one in person. I'm sure you can find pictures. I haven't personally looked, but they're not too cheap, despite him being super small and super young. $550 plus 50 shipping. At number 2, one of the biggest on the list, I guess second biggest after the boa, is this boa, the male Demuras Boa. Again, they get smaller than the female. I've done a handful of Demuras videos, I think, or maybe just 2. That's a handful still. 1, 2, handful. He originally was listed for $700. Nobody bought him, so I dropped it to $650. Still nothing. A couple weeks later, dropped it to $600. Basically, if they don't sell within like 2 weeks, I drop the price, and then after that, I drop it like every week or so. So if you do see an animal that you're like, oh, that's too expensive, you can just wait a couple weeks and the price will drop. But you're also risking someone else changing their mind to buying it before you, so it's hard. It's kind of like eBay bidding, but in reverse, because I dropped the price, and I had to drop it all the way down to $550 before someone purchased. I'm not sure if that was someone watching his price drop and being like, all right, that's within my budget, or if someone just didn't see him until he was marked at $550. It's simply not too easy to find male Demuras Boas for sale, and I really wanted to see just how much he would go for. I guess on a lot of these prices, I put a lot of time into the prices, but other times I just have no idea what to list them at. So I just take a guess, and I usually overdo it, because what's the worst that happens? He doesn't sell and I lower the price. And that's what I did with him. So now I know if I get another male Demuras Boa that's big and friendly, he was also chill, which was quite nice, because bigger snakes can be a bit more intimidating if they are not a big fan of being messed with. And a lot of people don't want to get an animal that's gonna be upset, defensive, and possibly not dangerous, but like still get a pretty bad bite from. So that was nice in his regard. And at number 1 was a ball python that actually did sell for $700. Also, extremely pretty. It's right in line with the one that sold for like 500 something. This female pastel calico ball python came from the same person. So there's a lot of ball pythons on this list, and I guess it was a few ball pythons, a couple boas, and then a bunch of hognose snakes, or 2, 3 hognose. I already forgot. Why'd she go for 700? Well, she's an adult. She's got a cool morph. She's very healthy, and she's a female, and a ball python that a lot of people look for. 700. I really don't have much to say about the most expensive on the site, but those are the top 10 on my top 10 list, which is complete, which equals a total of $5,410, and that's including the shipping price. So after all the shipping, that's like $600 or $700 to ship all these out. So like, say this hognose, he just ships in a little 6-inch box. I think he sold pretty nearby too. So like, say he just ships to Virginia, one state up, oh, that's like $30. But then this BCI goes in a huge box. Maybe it goes to Washington State all the way across, and that's like $115 or so. So overall, it was between $500 and $1,000 to ship them all, and then of course any other expenses that come along with them. So I don't make $5,400, but this made a huge difference in the revenue and the profit. Most of these animals sold in 2020. Yeah, I mean, I'm still selling animals. Things are a bit slow right now just because there's so much else happening, but I'm getting there. And I'm going to do another year in review video for Emerald Scales at the end of this year, where I break down every single number, every single month, every event that happened in about an hour, 2 hour long video. I've already done 2 of them. If you want to go check those out, I'll link them in the description. And hopefully these videos don't come off as, look at how filthy rich I got off these 10 animals that people had to give up. If you look in Emerald Scales more, I would like to think that's not how it comes off, because so many unexpected expenses come up. Anything from a vet bill to an animal that has to be here for like a year and takes tons of time to whatever else. It's been interesting and I'm still learning, and hopefully I 100% want to make money off this project, and it's something that looks a lot more realistic now. So I don't want to spoil anything, but things are looking better. So if you purchase an animal from me, I appreciate it. Makes a big difference. I mean, I have to get rid of the animals. They have to go somewhere. So I'm glad that someone has always come up and been like, this is the right animal for me, and set up a great enclosure. I've never gotten stuck with an animal. Any animal that's been on Emerald Scales eventually found an owner, even if it took a bit longer. And most of these snakes went pretty quickly, and I'm satisfied with that. So thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. You can check everything out and the link below for them. Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, I can do the same with turtles, amphibians, whatever. You can watch the one that I did on lizards, or I could even do like the cheapest animals I've sold, or a top 10 all time. But that's it for this video, so thanks for watching, and I'm Alex.